3 days after the first meeting, a smaller alien ship docked at Luna Base. From it emerged 5 aliens of different species, led by a tall, thin being with 4 arms and silver eyes. This was Kintal of the Lorixi, sent to assess human civilization. "We welcome the assessment team to Earth territory," said Major Frank Williams, the base commander. He had been ordered to be polite, but reveal nothing important. Kintal bowed slightly. "We are here to better understand your species' capabilities and culture. The Confederacy requires complete information before finalizing membership terms." "Of course," Major Williams replied. "We have arranged tours of several facilities. Captain Morgan will serve as your guide." Alex stepped forward, hiding her dislike for the mission. Admiral Russell had given her clear instructions: show the aliens outdated technology and keep Earth's true capabilities hidden. Over the next week, Alex led the aliens through carefully prepared sites. They visited an older fusion plant rather than the newer antimatter facility. They toured a museum of early spaceflight instead of the advanced propulsion lab. At each stop, the humans acted friendly but slightly intimidated by alien technology. Kintal, however, was more observant than expected. During a tour of Chicago, the alien scientist paused at a public library. "May we examine your information repositories?" Kintal asked. Alex hesitated but couldn't find a reason to refuse. "Of course." Inside, Kintal browsed through books while the other aliens seemed bored. The silver-eyed scientist picked up a military history book and read with growing interest. "You have fought many wars against yourselves," Kintal said. Alex nodded. "Unfortunately, yes. And these books about fictional wars, stories about conflicts that never happened. We call it science fiction. People imagine what could be." Kintal's 4 hands gripped the book tighter. "Your species imagines violence that has not occurred. Fascinating." Back at Luna Base, Lieutenant Kate Simmons from Earth Intelligence had made a discovery. She waited until the aliens were in their quarters before meeting with Captain Morgan. "I've analyzed their communication patterns," Kate said, sliding a tablet across the table. "It matches exactly with transmissions detected near Proxima Centauri 2 years ago." Alex frowned. "The colony that went silent?" "Yes, and I found more. The Confederacy has contacted at least 6 other developing species in nearby sectors. In each case, they offered protection and resource-sharing agreements." "What happened to those species?" Kate's expression darkened. "Within 10 years, each planet was stripped of rare minerals. The native populations were reduced to working in Confederacy factories or mines." Alex felt cold anger spreading through her chest. "They're not here to welcome us. They're here to exploit us." "There's more," Kate said. "The Confederacy species avoid direct conflict. They use economic pressure and technological advantages to control others. They've never faced serious military resistance." Later that night, as Alex worked in her office, a soft knock surprised her. When she opened the door, Kintal stood there alone. "May I enter?" Unobserved, the alien asked. Alex checked the corridor and then let Kintal in. "What do you want?" "To understand," Kintal said. "Your species is unusual. You hide your advancements, yet your eyes showed defiance, not fear." "Why should we fear?" Alex asked carefully. "Most species who join the Confederacy do so because they must. But you?" Kintal paused. "Your world is different. You evolved as prey animals, yet became apex predators. Most Confederacy species evolved on peaceful worlds without significant threats." "What are you saying?" "The High Chancellor does not understand what he is dealing with. I have studied your history books. You fight. You survive. Even against yourselves, you show remarkable creativity in warfare." Alex said nothing, waiting. "If the Confederacy attempts to force these terms on Earth," Kintal said quietly, "it would be a grave mistake. I wish to prevent this error." Alex's mind raced. Was this a trap or a genuine offer of help? Either way, she now had a plan forming. A dangerous one that might save Earth or start the first interstellar war in human history. Day 29 arrived with a sense of dread and purpose. One day before the Confederacy's deadline. One chance to change the future. Ambassador Daniel Harrison welcomed the alien delegation to Luna Base with a practiced smile. 6 different alien species followed High Chancellor Vorteth into the diplomatic reception hall. The room was decorated with Earth art and historical items meant to suggest a primitive but proud culture. "We are pleased you have invited us to discuss the treaty terms," Vorteth said, his tall blue form towering over the humans present. "I assume Earth has made the wise decision to accept our protection." "We wanted to share something with you first," Ambassador Harrison replied. "A cultural exchange, if you will, to help you better understand humanity." Vorteth's large eyes blinked slowly. "Very well, though I remind you that tomorrow is your deadline." "It won't take long," Harrison promised. "If you'll follow me to the observation deck, we've prepared a small demonstration." The aliens followed, clearly expecting some simple human ritual or performance. Captain Morgan waited for them on the observation deck, dressed in her formal uniform. Through the large windows, the dark side of the moon stretched out below them. "Welcome," she said. "What you're about to see represents just a small fraction of Earth's defensive capabilities." Vorteth made a sound like quiet laughter. "Defensive capabilities. Our scans show your technology is at least 2 centuries behind the Confederacy." Alex simply smiled and touched her communication device. "All units, commence demonstration." For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, 5 warships appeared from nowhere, having dropped their stealth fields. They were sleek and black, unlike the bulkier science vessels the aliens had seen before. "Impossible," whispered one of the aliens. "Our scanners detected no ships in this sector." "Stealth technology," Alex explained. "Just one of many advances we chose not to share during your assessment." On her signal, the Earth ships fired kinetic weapons at a prearranged target area on the moon's surface. The impacts were precise and devastating, creating a pattern of craters that formed a perfect circle. "Primitive projectile weapons," Vorteth said, but his voice held less certainty. "Next phase," Alex ordered into her comm. 3 smaller vessels emerged from behind the moon. Each released what looked like metal spheres that fell toward the lunar surface. When they impacted, there was no explosion. Instead, all electronic systems in a 10-mile radius simply stopped working. "Electromagnetic pulse weapons," Alex explained. "Non-destructive, but very effective against advanced technology." The alien delegation grew restless. A reptilian member whispered urgently to Vorteth, who silenced him with a gesture. "A modest display," Vorteth said, "but nothing compared to Confederacy weaponry." Alex nodded to a technician at a control panel. Final demonstration. Far out in lunar orbit, a small device activated. For a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then a controlled fusion reaction created a flash of light so bright that the windows automatically darkened. The shockwave was contained by an energy field, but the power released was unmistakable. "A clean fusion device," Alex said into the stunned silence. "Designed to minimize radiation while maximizing energy output. We have larger versions, of course." Ambassador Harrison stepped forward. "We've studied the Confederacy worlds carefully. Your home planets have minimal defensive systems, relying instead on your fleet for protection." Vorteth's skin paled to a lighter blue. "You threaten us?" "Not at all," Harrison replied calmly. "We're simply sharing information about ourselves. You called us primitive bipeds. We thought you should know what humanity is truly capable of when threatened." Alex watched the aliens carefully. Most showed signs of shock or fear, though Vorteth maintained his composure. She knew they were only getting started. The real negotiations hadn't even begun. "Now," Ambassador Harrison said with a smile, "let's discuss those treaty terms again. I believe Earth has a counter-proposal you might find interesting. Day 29 arrived with a sense of dread and purpose. One day before the Confederacy's deadline. One chance to change the future. Ambassador Daniel Harrison welcomed the alien delegation to Luna Base with a practiced smile. 6 different alien species followed High Chancellor Vorteth into the diplomatic reception hall. The room was decorated with Earth art and historical items meant to suggest a primitive but proud culture. "We are pleased you have invited us to discuss the treaty terms," Vorteth said, his tall blue form towering over the humans present. "I assume Earth has made the wise decision to accept our protection." "We wanted to share something with you first," Ambassador Harrison replied. "A cultural exchange, if you will, to help you better understand humanity." Vorteth's large eyes blinked slowly. "Very well. Though I remind you that tomorrow is your deadline." "It won't take long," Harrison promised. "If you'll follow me to the observation deck, we've prepared a small demonstration." The aliens followed, clearly expecting some simple human ritual or performance. Captain Morgan waited for them on the observation deck, dressed in her formal uniform. Through the large windows, the dark side of the moon stretched out below them. "Welcome," she said. "What you're about to see represents just a small fraction of Earth's defensive capabilities." Vorteth made a sound like quiet laughter. "Defensive capabilities. Our scans show your technology is at least 2 centuries behind the Confederacy." Alex simply smiled and touched her communication device. "All units, commence demonstration." For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, 5 warships appeared from nowhere, having dropped their stealth fields. They were sleek and black, unlike the bulkier science vessels the aliens had seen before. "Impossible," whispered one of the aliens. "Our scanners detected no ships in this sector." "Stealth technology," Alex explained. "Just one of many advances we chose not to share during your assessment." On her signal, the Earth ships fired kinetic weapons at a prearranged target area on the moon's surface. The impacts were precise and devastating, creating a pattern of craters that formed a perfect circle. "Primitive projectile weapons," Vorteth said, but his voice held less certainty. "Next phase," Alex ordered into her comm. 3 smaller vessels emerged from behind the moon. Each released what looked like metal spheres that fell toward the lunar surface. When they impacted, there was no explosion. Instead, all electronic systems in a 10-mile radius simply stopped working. "Electromagnetic pulse weapons," Alex explained. "Non-destructive, but very effective against advanced technology." The alien delegation grew restless. A reptilian member whispered urgently to Vorteth, who silenced him with a gesture. "A modest display," Vorteth said, "but nothing compared to Confederacy weaponry." Alex nodded to a technician at a control panel. Final demonstration. Far out in lunar orbit, a small device activated. For a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then a controlled fusion reaction created a flash of light so bright that the windows automatically darkened. The shockwave was contained by an energy field, but the power released was unmistakable. "A clean fusion device," Alex said into the stunned silence. "Designed to minimize radiation while maximizing energy output. We have larger versions, of course." Ambassador Harrison stepped forward. "We've studied the Confederacy worlds carefully. Your home planets have minimal defensive systems, relying instead on your fleet for protection." Vorteth's skin paled to a lighter blue. "You threaten us?" "Not at all," Harrison replied calmly. "We're simply sharing information about ourselves. You called us primitive bipeds. We thought you should know what humanity is truly capable of when threatened." Alex watched the aliens carefully. Most showed signs of shock or fear, though Vorteth maintained his composure. She knew they were only getting started. The real negotiations hadn't even begun. "Now," Ambassador Harrison said with a smile, "let's discuss those treaty terms again. I believe Earth has a counter-proposal you might find interesting." The mood in the conference room had changed completely. No longer were the aliens sitting tall with confidence. Now they glanced at each other nervously as Captain Morgan stood before them with a data tablet in her hand. "The terms you offered Earth were not acceptable," she said simply. "So we have prepared our own proposal." She passed copies of the document to each alien representative. The human team watched as the aliens read through the terms, their expressions changing from surprise to disbelief. "This is absurd," High Chancellor Vorteth finally said. "You demand equal trade agreements, access to Confederacy technology, recognition as a sovereign species with full voting rights." "Yes," Alex replied. "Those are our terms." A reptilian alien named Krastal hissed softly. "You forget your place, humans. The Confederacy does not bow to demands from developing worlds." At Alex's nod, Lieutenant Ryan Fletcher stepped forward. He was young but carried himself with confidence as he distributed additional data tablets to the aliens. "These are intelligence files we've compiled on each of your homeworlds," Ryan explained. "You'll find detailed information about your planetary defense systems, government structures, and strategic vulnerabilities." The aliens stared at the screens in shock as they scrolled through the information. The files contained detailed scans of their home planets, military installations, and even population centers. "This is not possible," whispered one four-armed alien. "How did you obtain this information?" "We've been studying you as much as you've been studying us," Alex said. "The difference is that we did a better job of it." High Chancellor Vorteth's face darkened to a deep blue color that Alex had learned indicated anger. "These threats are meaningless. Our fleet is vastly superior to your small collection of ships. If we choose to take Earth by force, these demonstrations would not stop us." Alex smiled, but her eyes remained cold. "I was hoping you might say that." She pressed a button on her comm device. A large screen on the wall activated, showing a map of Confederate space. 12 small dots blinked on different worlds. "While your assessment team was here examining our primitive culture, we sent our own teams to your worlds," Alex explained. 12 stealth ships, each carrying a crew of human operatives, are currently in orbit around your major population centers. The room fell completely silent. Even the human diplomats looked surprised. This part of the plan had been kept secret from all but a few. "You're bluffing," Vorteth said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Am I?" Alex pressed another button. The screen changed to show live video feeds from each stealth ship. Each vessel carries weapons similar to what you saw in our demonstration. If the Confederacy chooses aggression over cooperation, we are prepared to respond in kind. Ambassador Harrison stepped forward smoothly. "We don't want conflict. Humans prefer peace and fair trade, but we will not be exploited or threatened." Kintal, who had remained silent until now, addressed Vorteth. "I warned you that humans were different. They evolved as both prey and predator. They understand both fear and aggression in ways our species do not." "This changes nothing," Vorteth insisted, though his skin had paled again. "Our punitive fleet is already on its way to this system. They will arrive within 3 days." "We know," Alex said calmly. "We've been tracking them since they departed. We've also infiltrated their navigation systems." She nodded to Olivia Wright, who displayed technical schematics of the Confederacy ships on the screen. "Your fleet uses a standard guidance protocol that we decoded 2 weeks ago," Olivia explained. "We can redirect those ships, disable their weapon systems, or simply strand them in deep space if necessary." High Chancellor Vorteth stood abruptly. "The Confederacy War Council must be informed of these developments immediately." "Of course," Alex agreed. "We'll arrange secure communications for you. But remember, our counteroffer expires in 24 hours. After that, we'll assume diplomacy has failed." As the aliens filed out, Admiral Russell approached Alex. "You realize you've just turned their ultimatum back on them?" Alex nodded grimly. "Let's hope they're smarter about accepting terms than we would have been." The Confederacy War Council met in emergency session aboard their command ship, Representatives from all 27 species gathered around a large circular table, their faces showing various degrees of concern. High Chancellor Vorteth stood at the center, his blue skin almost gray with stress. The humans have revealed capabilities far beyond what our assessment team reported. Military Overseer Krastal slammed his scaled fist on the table. It doesn't matter. We cannot allow a primitive species to dictate terms to the Confederacy. We should destroy their planet now as an example to others. Kintal rose from his seat, all four arms spread in a gesture of caution. That would be unwise. You still don't understand what we're facing. Explain, demanded a small bird-like alien. Humans evolved differently than us, Kintal said. Most of our species developed on worlds with abundant resources and few dangers. But humans come from what they call a death world, a planet filled with predators, diseases, and natural disasters. The council members muttered among themselves. They spent thousands of years fighting for survival, Kintal continued, not just against their environment, but against each other. Their history is filled with wars we can barely comprehend. They've developed psychological traits that make them uniquely dangerous when threatened. Before anyone could respond, an alert sounded. A human fleet had appeared near the moon, seemingly out of nowhere. The ships were larger and more numerous than those shown in the demonstration. On the main view screen, Admiral Paul Nelson of the Earth Defense Fleet appeared. He was older than Captain Morgan, with gray hair and a face marked by experience. This is Admiral Nelson. I command Earth's primary defense force. We request permission to join the diplomatic talks. Vorteth had no choice but to agree. Within an hour, human negotiators sat across from the Confederacy War Council. The human team was led by a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, veteran diplomat Carolyn Miller. Let me be clear, Miller said after introductions were complete. Earth wants peaceful relations with the Confederacy. We have no desire for war. Then accept your proper place, Krastal hissed, as a protected world under our guidance. Miller smiled thinly. That's not going to happen. But perhaps you don't understand the situation fully. She nodded to Captain Morgan, who activated a holographic display showing Earth's history of warfare. The aliens watched in silence as images of ancient battles gave way to modern conflicts. For most of our history, humans fought other humans, Morgan explained. We became experts at war because we practiced constantly. We know how to fight enemies with superior technology or numbers. You think this makes you special? Krastal asked. Many species have wars. Not like ours, Miller replied. And not with our mindset. You see, humans don't just fight when we can win. We fight when we must, even against impossible odds. As they spoke, Lieutenant Kate Simmons monitored Confederacy communications. She leaned over to whisper in Morgan's ear. They're arguing among themselves. 3 of the smaller species are suggesting withdrawal from the conflict. Admiral Nelson spoke next. Your Confederacy has never faced a species that wouldn't back down. You've relied on intimidation because it's always worked before. But humans are different. He gestured to the window, where Earth hung in the blackness of space. We will protect our world at any cost. If you choose war, you might destroy us, but we guarantee it will cost you more than you're willing to pay. The room fell silent. Then Kintal spoke. The humans are offering a fair alternative. Equal trade, mutual cooperation, recognition of sovereignty. These terms benefit all parties. They are making demands as if they were our equals. Krastal protested. Perhaps they are, Kintal replied quietly. Or perhaps they're something we've never encountered before. Carolyn Miller stood, her posture straight despite her years. We've spent millennia fighting ourselves, she said. We're very good at it, but we've also learned to make peace. The choice is yours. Outside the meeting room, Earth's stealth ships remained positioned near Confederacy homeworlds, while the Confederacy punitive fleet hung motionless in space, their navigation systems compromised. The standoff had begun, and the next few hours would determine the fate of both sides. Hours passed as the negotiations continued. The tension in the room grew thicker with each passing minute. Lieutenant Kate Simmons slipped Captain Morgan a note. 3 of the smaller Confederacy species had officially withdrawn their support for any military action against Earth. High Chancellor Vorteth received similar news from his aides. His face darkened as he read the message. The Plaxians, Ventari, and Noridian Collective have requested neutral status in this matter, he announced to the Council. They claim this conflict is not in their interests. Krastal hissed in anger. Cowards. The Xeraxian fleet will proceed alone if necessary. Would that be wise? Asked Ambassador Harrison. Your fleet is currently, let's say, paused in deep space, and you've seen only a fraction of our capabilities. As if on cue, a human technician approached Captain Morgan. Ma'am, HHENA is online and awaiting your command. Morgan nodded. Show them. The main screen in the conference room suddenly displayed lines of code and system schematics. The aliens' communication devices began to beep and flash with warning signals. What is happening? Demanded Vorteth. This is HHENA, Morgan explained. Advanced Tactical Hostile Engagement Network Analysis, an AI system we developed to counter cyber threats. As they watched, HHENA infiltrated the Xeraxian flagship systems, bypassing security protocols as if they weren't there. Weapons, propulsion, and life support systems all came under human control within seconds. Your encryption was interesting, Morgan said, but ultimately simple for our eye to solve. Gary Peterson stepped forward. A nervous-looking man with uncombed hair, he seemed out of place among the military and diplomatic figures. He activated a handheld device, and a holographic display appeared. We also developed quantum communications that bypass your monitoring systems completely, he explained. He pressed a button, and a message transmitted instantly to one of Earth's stealth ships near the Xeraxian homeworld. The ship acknowledged the signal immediately. No delay, Gary said. Perfect encryption. You can't block or intercept these communications. Vorteth and several other council members whispered urgently among themselves. Krastal still looked defiant, but uncertainty had crept into his eyes. Captain Morgan moved to the center of the room. Let me speak plainly. We don't want your worlds. We don't want to rule your species or join your confederacy as second-class members. We simply want to be left alone to develop in our own way. But should you threaten us, Morgan's voice hardened, we will respond with everything we have. Unlike you, we evolved as prey before becoming predators. We understand both fear and hunting. This gives us a perspective your species lack. Ambassador Harrison added, every human knows what it means to fight against overwhelming odds. It's in our stories, our history, our very DNA. Kintal moved to stand beside the humans. The 4-armed alien looked at his fellow council members. I have studied the humans closely. They speak the truth. They prefer peace but excel at war. The Confederacy has never faced a species like this before. What would you have us do? Asked Vorteth, his voice tight with anger. Submit to their demands. Consider them as equals, Kintal suggested. It would be the first time the Confederacy did so with a newly discovered species. Never, shouted Krastal. The Xeraxians will never. He was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the ship. On the monitor, they could see the Xeraxian flagship systems shutting down one by one. A demonstration, Morgan said calmly. Your flagship's life support will restart in 5 minutes. We mean no harm to your people. She walked closer to Vorteth and looked directly into his large eyes. You have 2 choices. Accept Earth as an equal partner in peaceful cooperation, or face what humans call mutual assured destruction. We will not be conquered or exploited. The decision is yours. For the first time since their meeting began, High Chancellor Vorteth looked genuinely afraid. He glanced at the other council members, many of whom nodded slightly. "The Confederacy Supreme Council will need to vote on this matter," he said finally. "I request a recess of 72 hours. For 3 days, the people of Earth waited. Military forces remained on high alert. The stealth ships stayed positioned near alien homeworlds. No one knew if the outcome would be peace or the first interstellar war in human history. In a large chamber aboard the Confederacy command ship, representatives from all 27 species debated furiously. Some demanded immediate military action to put the humans in their place. Others urged caution after seeing Earth's capabilities. The debate lasted 71 hours. When the Confederacy Supreme Council finally returned to the negotiation table, their mood was subdued. High Chancellor Vorteth no longer looked angry, just tired. "The Supreme Council has reached a decision," he announced formally. "After much consideration, we accept the core of your proposal with some amendments." Ambassador Harrison and Captain Morgan exchanged quick glances. This was better than they had hoped for. "Earth will be recognized as a sovereign power," Vorteth continued. "Trade agreements will be established on equal terms. Technology exchange will be gradual and mutual." "And Earth's status within the Confederacy?" asked Carolyn Miller. "You will join as full members with special autonomous status," Vorteth replied. "No Confederacy forces will enter your solar system without permission." The human delegation needed only a brief discussion before accepting these terms. Within hours, the documents were prepared. Representatives from both sides gathered for the signing ceremony. Just before signing, Vorteth added one final clause. "There is one more condition. All details of this confrontation will be classified at the highest level. No species within the Confederacy will be told how this agreement came about." Admiral Nelson raised an eyebrow. "You want to keep this secret?" "For the stability of the Confederacy," Vorteth explained. "If others learned how humans forced these terms—" "I understand," Ambassador Harrison said. "Your authority would be questioned. Other species might demand similar treatment." "Exactly," Vorteth replied. "This incident will be known simply as the Earth Agreement. No details will be shared about the negotiations." The humans agreed. The treaty was signed with little ceremony, and the Earth incident was immediately classified across all Confederacy records. 5 years passed. Earth prospered as part of the galactic community while maintaining its independence. Human representatives worked within the Confederacy to reform its policies toward newly discovered species. Captain Alexandra Morgan, now Admiral Morgan, led the first joint human-alien exploration mission beyond known space. The Confederacy itself had changed, evolving into what many now called the Galactic Alliance. The exploitative practices of the past were gradually being replaced with fair trade and mutual respect. Many credited the humans with this change, though few knew exactly why the shift had occurred. On a prestigious alien academy far from Earth, a class of young cadets from various species studied galactic politics. One brave student raised a hand to ask the instructor a question. "Professor, why does Earth have special status in the Alliance? They were only discovered recently, yet they have privileges no other new member has ever received." The instructor, an aged Zeraxian who had been present during the original negotiations, paused before answering. "That information is classified at the highest levels," he said carefully. "I can only tell you this. There are lines no species crosses with humans." "But why?" The student persisted. "What makes them so different?" The instructor's eyes grew distant, remembering the fear he had felt when Earth's systems had infiltrated their flagship, when human stealth ships had appeared near his homeworld. "Let us just say that humans remind us of an important truth that many advanced species forget. Technology does not equal superiority. Evolution on a dangerous world creates dangerous beings. The humans taught the Confederacy humility, and we are better for having learned it." After class, the students whispered among themselves about Earth and its mysteries. None would ever know the full truth of how a single species had stood against the most powerful force in the galaxy, and won without firing a shot. On Earth, in a secure archive beneath the new Galactic Embassy, The complete records of the Earth incident remained sealed, a testament to the day humanity took its rightful place among the stars.